Welcome to the 2021 Golden Goose Award ceremony. We are thrilled that you can join us for this year's event, our 10th, and hope that you can feel our excitement about these incredible awardees through your screens from wherever you're tuning in. I'm Frank Sesno. I'm delighted to be your MC today. I've been hosting these events for several years now, and it's always a highlight of my year. Through my work at the George Washington University and my Planet Forward project there, I'm very involved in the communication and storytelling around sustainability and science. This kind of recognition, celebrating breakthrough in science and the people who make it all happen, is so important and so inspiring, especially now. I'm just thrilled to be with you. The Golden Goose Award celebrates silly-sounding or serendipitous science that's returned tremendous benefits to society. This year, we highlight 3 teams of researchers whose federally funded research and tireless efforts have made us all safer, from the development of life-saving therapies to patching dangerous cyber gaps. The Golden Goose Award recognizes work that demonstrates how scientific and technological advances that result from foundational scientific research, supported by the federal government, can profoundly impact society in unexpected ways. And our awardees are a testament to the strong foundation that scientists have laid, building on decades of federally funded research. For example, today we highlight researchers whose work to understand genetic code has contributed to the fight against COVID-19, whose development of new cancer therapies is providing alternative treatment options for breast cancer patients, and whose discoveries helped set cybersecurity standards for automobiles. All have made a difference because of the federal government's investment in basic scientific research. Nominations for the Golden Goose Award can come from anyone. So if you have a story to tell, please share it at goldengooseaward.org. Nominations are evaluated by a distinguished panel of scientists and science professionals who comprise the Golden Goose Award Selection Committee. The Golden Goose Award has always enjoyed strong bipartisan support in Congress. In our current gaggle of supporters are Representative Suzanne Bonamici, Representative Rodney Davis, Representative Bill Foster, Representative Elise Stefanik, Senator Chris Coons, and, of course, the man we affectionately call Father Goose, Representative Jim Cooper. He came up with the idea for the award. We asked our congressional supporters to tell us why federal support for basic scientific research is so important and how research has touched their lives.
Hi, I'm Congressman Jim Cooper. I have the honor of representing Nashville, Tennessee, a city that is probably most famous for country music, but in fact has long been called the Athens of the South for its emphasis on education. In fact, we have a full-scale model of the Parthenon here. But I'm also known as Father Goose because I helped found the Golden Goose Awards, which celebrate the virtues of government-funded scientific research. You know, business is great, but so often they just want to commercialize the fundamental science that government-funded scientists have already discovered. So I'm so thankful for the government's role in this. I want all of my colleagues in Congress to support government-funded scientific research, and I think that we'll all be better as a result. It's so important to promote innovation, to promote the great discoveries that we all need to have better lives. And that's not just Americans, it's people all around the world. So I'm thankful for your hard work, and I'm thankful for the role that taxpayers play in funding your excellent research.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici from Northwest Oregon. Congratulations to all of the Golden Goose awardees. It is an honor to join you, albeit virtually, for another Golden Goose Award celebration to recognize bipartisan support for research and the value of scientific discoveries and creativity in addressing complex problems. As a senior member of the Science, Space, and Technology Committee and a member of the Select Committee on the Climate Crisis, I know that we cannot solve the next moonshot challenge without the expertise of scientists. It takes courage to research areas when the benefits are not known at the outset, and the fear of failure might be discouraging, but it must not inhibit the imagination and work of the scientific community. Seemingly obscure federally funded research has led to major breakthroughs, and the Golden Goose Awards serve as an opportunity to tell the stories behind those discoveries. As a member of Congress, I support the Golden Goose Awards because scientific research is unpredictable. To help demonstrate the value of these federal investments, I encourage you to tell your stories and highlight how you were able to persist when the outcome is uncertain. By telling the story of your research journey, you are helping to inspire and engage the next generation of scientific leaders. Congratulations again to the award winners, and thank you for illustrating the tremendous value of federal research, even research with odd-sounding titles.
Hi, I'm Rodney Davis. I'm a member of Congress representing Central and Southwestern Illinois, and it includes the University of Illinois, and I'm a proud supporter of the Golden Goose Award. Federally funded research has always been extremely important, but now more than ever. It is very crucial because we have to advance our knowledge of the unknown. The University of Illinois in my district is home to the Blue Water supercomputer, and without NSF funds, this project would have never gotten off the ground. I'm proud of our historic investments in NIH and NSF to make projects like Dr. Larry Smar's from the University of Illinois' research on black hole collisions, which actually spurred additional federal supercomputing initiatives, and a Golden Goose Award back in 2014. These unexpected discoveries, they drive the curiosity of our young people, but also the curiosity of us as members of Congress. I look forward to continuing to work with my colleagues in a very bipartisan way to increase our nation's research funding and to continue to spur innovation throughout this great country and all of our communities.
Thanks again to our bipartisan group of congressional supporters. We are so grateful for your support. The Golden Goose Award is supported by the many organizations and institutions on your screen who make this ceremony possible. The American Association for the Advancement of Science, known as AAAS, manages the Golden Goose Award with the support of the Golden Goose Award Steering Committee. And this year's contributor organizations are the Association of American Medical Colleges, the Association of American Universities, Battelle, and IEEE USA. We also appreciate the generous contributions of our supporter organizations. I'd now like to welcome remarks from the American Association for the Advancement of Science, which houses and manages the Golden Goose Award and is one of its founding organizations.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sudip Parikh, and I have the privilege of serving as the Chief Executive Officer of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, or AAAS, and as Executive Publisher of Science and the Science Family of Journals. I'd like to thank you for joining us for the 10th annual Golden Goose Award ceremony. That's right, we are celebrating a decade of inspiring stories of the unexpected impacts of federally funded scientific research. AAAS is proud to be a Golden Goose Award founding organization and to have the opportunity to share with all of you the stories of these amazing scientists whose work has led to positive, life-changing impacts on all of our daily lives. Congratulations to our creative, curious, and extraordinary honorees who have advanced science and served society. We hope you enjoy the show.
And now it's time to reveal our awardees. I'm going to announce their names, and then we'll tell their stories in another annual Golden Goose tradition, our documentary video. Our first awardees are Dr. Katalin Kariko at the company BioNTech and Dr. Drew Weissman at the University of Pennsylvania. Next, Dr. Stefan Savage at the University of California, San Diego, Dr. Yoshi Kono and Dr. Carl Kosher at the University of Washington, and Dr. Stephen Checkaway at Oberlin College. And Dr. Craig Jordan at the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center. All of our awardees are doing incredible work in their fields of research. So, without further delay, we present to you our 2021 Golden Goose Award documentary video.
I remember when I was applying to medical school and the interviewer asked me, I want to investigate the color yellow in butterfly wings. Would I fund it? And I said, well, I don't see the application of that, so I probably wouldn't have funded it. And he said, well, studying the color yellow in butterfly wings gave us one of the leading cancer and autoimmune therapeutics.
you have to be curious. 40 years ago, people who cared about coronavirus, and how good that those people went on and investigated. You don't know, you set it out what to investigate.
So when I came to Penn, I was interested in making vaccines using dendritic cells that I had studied. And that's when I met Katie over a photocopy machine.
And it was 1998 when he arrived to Penn. And he mentioned that he was coming from Anthony Fauci's laboratory. Didn't ring a bell. This was a long time ago, and Anthony Fauci was not in the television set. Messenger RNA was discovered in 1961. People usually did not see that this RNA can be useful for anything. So I was insisting and persisting because every time we could see improvement.
Katie came to me with RNA. I came to her with the immune system, and it was really like chocolate and peanut butter coming together and making a Reese's cup. And it formed an enormous collaboration.
You will see our personality is very different because I am very bubbling and he's quiet and considerate.
We have completely opposite personalities. Each of us taught each other what they knew. And I think that was what was critical. DNA represents our genetic code. Every single protein, every single sequence that makes our bodies work. RNA is the intermediate. So in order for a cell to make a protein, an RNA makes a copy of a protein in the DNA. It's essentially taking one page out of a journal, photocopying it, and then using it for something.
And he realized that the mRNA is actually inducing inflammatory molecules, and I was worried about that I would make more harm.
Every week, every month, we would have new results that just surprised us, that we couldn't explain, we didn't understand. And then we spent years figuring out how RNA activates a dendritic cell. And that finally led us to figure out how to make the RNA non-inflammatory. And that's how we developed nucleoside-modified mRNA. It's now being used in the first 2 approved COVID-19 vaccines.
Drew predicted that we will be invited to give talks and that, and did not happen. Sometimes, they don't want to change and use something, a different method.
The research that Katie and I did all along was considered superfluous. People just had little to no interest in it. We didn't give up. We saw the potential of it. We saw that it had enormous future impact, and we were luckily right.
Eventually other scientists did and tried it, and they were successful, and then their publication drew attention to our publication.
That's life. I mean, you never know where science is going to take you. You never know, is this experiment going to work? You have to have confidence that what you're studying is important, that it has the potential to be critically important, and then you have to persevere and you have to stick with it.
Here's the most surprising part of the entire experience. There is no one on the planet that has all of the code that goes in an automobile.
Your car company these days is just an integrator putting together all these parts from different manufacturers. It absolutely creates a security problem.
It starts in late 2007, and Yoshi had been working on some really neat work.
I think what has prepared me most for working in automotive security is all the work that I've done looking at security for other emerging technologies.
And I said, hey, I bet there are similar kinds of security issues in all of these other kinds of devices.
And automobiles were definitely one of those.
So I think it was Stefan who cornered us, asked us, hey, are you interested in trying to hack a car? And we're like, sure.
So the team at the University of Washington were PhD students at the time, Carl Kosher, Alexei Cheskis, Francisco Rosner. As a team, we called Carl the car whisperer.
On the San Diego side, Brian Cantor, Danny Anderson, Damon McCoy, and then Steve Checkaway.
Stefan approached me. His pitch was, let's buy a car and see what functionality in the car we can control.
To my memory, no one in the team knew anything specific about cars prior to us starting.
I grew up in New York City. I learned to drive when I was 28.
And that involved a lot of research and figuring out, like, okay, what is under computer control?
So modern cars are almost completely computer controlled. Everything from the door locks to the steering to the brakes.
But they need to talk to each other because when you are hitting the brakes, the stability control unit needs to know that you're hitting the brakes, and the engine controller needs to know. And rather than draw wires between all of them, they started building networks in the cars that connected everything to each other.
We landed on what was probably one of the most computerized cars at the time.
They were 2009 Chevy Impalas. So our car was called Vlad the Impala. There may have been a name for the UW car, I don't remember.
We couldn't top that name, so we just settled on Emma.
First, there was a period in learning about automotive electronics and the history of it.
We ordered the dealer service manual. It's about, this tall.
We noticed really early on just how many messages were being sent back and forth between the computers.
And so what we did in the beginning, because we really did not understand very much, is we just plugged in and looked at the messages.
And we listened. And we did things like we pressed the brake pedal and we saw what message was sent. And we turned on the lights and saw what message was sent. And over the course of that process, we were able to learn the language that the car spoke. And then we started to develop the ability to speak that language ourselves.
The CD exploit was actually one of the things that took us the longest to figure out.
We could take a normal piece of digital music,
Beethoven's Symphony No. 9.
change it slightly. It'll still play fine on your laptop, but if you ever took that song and played it in our car, it would take over the car.
One of the other ways that we could get into the car was through OnStar service.
It turns out that our car has an internal cell phone.
We were able to call the phone in the car from anywhere in the world and play a specially crafted sequence of tones.
That sounds kind of like a fax machine on steroids,
And then from there, take control of the entire rest of the car.
So one of the absolutely critical parts of this research was to understand and experiment with the vehicle in actually real driving situations.
My first idea was using the I-5 express lanes here, which are closed overnight, but it turned out it was easier to acquire use of a decommissioned airport. They still had the runway there.
Alexei Cheskis, one of the students at the University of Washington, volunteered to drive the car for these experiments.
Decked out in his motorcycle safety gear.
He was eager because I think we would not have asked anyone to do it. There were a lot of lawyers involved.
We had a number of safety precautions in place.
Like fallback things to disable the vehicle if something went awry. The police escort, the whole 9 yards.
Other team members were driving along beside him in a different car.
I had my own laptop, which was connected over Wi-Fi to the laptop in the car to sort of simulate a remote attacker.
The brakes would get turned off or the brakes would get turned on and we would make him skid.
It was kind of Mythbusters-y.
When we first demonstrated this for the folks from GM, we had the car outside the window. We call the car, and then all of a sudden the car outside starts honking its horn, and the windshield wipers are going, and the fluid is shooting off, and they were convinced that there was an issue.
GM started a whole product security organization, and we're hiring people like crazy to actually develop cybersecurity.
The car that we used was a GM car, but it was absolutely not a GM problem. The way the whole automotive industry supply chain worked, that was shared by all of the manufacturers.
And our goal was to help make the world a better place.
And I think that the work that we did while it had the largest impact in the automotive industry, actually definitely was a wake-up call for a number of other industries as well.
I would actually make a call for the research community to think about what are the other technologies that are incredibly integrated into our lives, but they have not received the security analysis that we gave these automobiles, and to think about what the risks might be with those technologies and how we can proactively secure those technologies as well so that they don't become a risk in the future.
My careers master, Mr. Bescovy, said, "Craig Jordan is an unusual young man."
I saw that he was a unique individual.
Capital letters, a very unusual young man.
He really understands the potential in people, where other people don't.
They said we had to learn what that meant. The rest is history. My name is Dr. V. Craig Jordan. I'm the living legend professor at the MD Anderson Cancer Center. Most of the ground was laid when I was at grammar school before the age of 18. After my father had bought me a chemistry set one Christmas, I decided I wanted to convert my bedroom into a real chemistry laboratory. Now I wanted to learn more and more chemistry. It was as easy as that. I focused all my career over the last 40 years in the discovery that we can use failed contraceptives that were available, but they weren't going anywhere. And I wanted to turn them into anti-cancer agents for the treatment and prevention of breast cancer. How bad was it? They couldn't find anybody in the whole country who would be willing to examine my PhD because it was useless. One person, Dr. Arthur Walpole, a pharmaceutical company with a failed contraceptive that became tamoxifen that they didn't know what to do with, agreed to be my examiner. The discovery of what became SERMs, selective estrogen receptor modulators, all happened by accident. We did an experiment because a man came from another department and he said, "We know estrogen is good for bones, but I want you to develop a model for me in rats of using anti-estrogens that makes bones rot away." And we treated them with tamoxifen, but we did the first experiment. So he treated the animals for 3 months, gave me the results, and I said, "Are you sure you've not mixed up all of these groups? This can't be true. Tamoxifen maintained bone density just like estrogen. One compound can maintain bone density, decrease heart attacks, prevent osteoporosis, decrease breast cancer, stop it nearly dead in its tracks." So scientifically, we have been given the credit for that with prizes around the world.
The environment in Dr. Jordan's lab was actually very exciting because we were doing groundbreaking work in those days.
Tamoxifen team is a family, so you can go to all of the people in the tamoxifen team. I have a newsletter and I put that out probably every other month and send it around to probably 50 or 60 people that are part of this group.
I was lucky because Dr. Jordan realized my potential and saw that I could be a great scientist.
My mentor, the Nobel laureate Sir James Black, said to me, "Invest in the young." That was his most important thing. That's what I do. I invest in the young by investing in making sure they get the best degrees that they can.
I've had a lot of mentors during my career, but Dr. Jordan really stands above all the others because he really has made me what I am today. What I learned from Dr. Jordan is to really realize that serendipity that occurs, that when experiments don't occur the way you think that they're going to do, that's where the real discoveries come.
Serendipity. If I hadn't been asked to make this new model of osteoporosis, we wouldn't have any of this. If I'd have stayed in Britain, we wouldn't have any of this. So there's some magic hand guiding all of this. We may call it God or fate or serendipity.
Congratulations to the winners. This year's awardees remind us that scientific discovery can take many forms. It can look like a white-coated researcher peering into a microscope, side by side with trainees, two colleagues exchanging ideas at the office printer, or a group of graduate students working late, lit by the headlights of a hacked car. We're grateful to our 2021 Golden Goose honorees and to all the scientists working every day to advance our understanding of the world around us. We asked our awardees to tell us more about their work. So our first question, what role did federal funding play in your research?
That's actually a good question.
You know, it's a very good question. Can I if I go first?
Yeah, sure.
Without federal funding and philanthropic investments in my laboratory, nothing we did in the laboratory could ever have been done.
I mean, I would certainly say that without federal funding, we would not have been able to do or complete this project. Federal funding was absolutely essential. Federal funding is designed to help us achieve innovation and new insights and new directions that, may not be something that industry is already looking at. And in this particular area, industry was not looking at this topic.
Our work, all of the research that we did was funded by the National Science Foundation, without which we would have been unable to do this work.
Federal funding for research gave us things like GPS and lasers and mRNA vaccines. It's difficult to overstate the importance of funding basic science.
All our awardees had to face some unique obstacles, challenges, or failures to make a breakthrough. So we asked them, how do you stay resilient and keep pushing forward when you don't know where the science will or will not take you?
My daughter actually is a 2 times Olympic champion, and she's a rower. And she's in the women 8, and all of the rowing, they are going backwards. So they are not seeing where is the finish line. They don't even know that how far away. So several times I felt the same way. We don't see the finish line. We don't know how far away. Maybe it's never coming, I don't know. But we are pulling that oar to move the boat as fast as possible.
We loved working together with each other, and we all believed in each other and our skills. And so I think that one of the things that drew us to just continue to working with each other, even in the face of obstacles, was knowing that we had our companions by our sides working with us. The second thing is we knew that this project was going to have significant impact. We didn't actually know what the results were going to be before we began, but we knew that this was a fundamentally important space and that it was almost our responsibility to try to understand what the security of an automobile was like.
A key thing is to be flexible. If we had set out to only find what we exactly thought we were going to find, we would have been disappointed and stopped. And so it's every bit as important to keep going after failures, but also be willing to redefine what it is that you're trying to do as reality comes in.
I think in my youth I didn't know any better. So I had started with lots of failures in my life, but learned to be able to deal with failures and move on.
We asked the group to fill in the blank. As a scientist, I am inspired by...
I'm inspired by everything. Every morning, sunrise, every sunset, every bite of food I eat. I really find inspiration in everything that I do.
As a scientist, I am inspired to have an understanding of nature, a secret that nobody knows. And as a scientist, I will be the first one to understand. That's very exciting.
I would say I'm inspired by unexpected discoveries, things that you just seemingly come out of left field.
An element of the Golden Goose Award is research that is sometimes odd or silly sounding. So we asked, how do curiosity and creativity play into your work as a researcher?
Yeah, pretty much all of my work is curiosity driven. What is the way that I can look at the world that will help get me and others to a new place for understanding it?
I've always been doing my work, if you like, off program. I mean, if everybody was doing this, I was doing that. So that's, I think, been my key. I followed my instincts.
Curiosity plays a huge role in all research projects. So you start by looking at something and trying to figure out how you can answer basic questions about it.
And one final question for our awardees that particularly interests me: how do you approach talking about your work with those who may not have a technical background in your area of research? Any lessons learned?
So I've learned how to do that over the past year. I spend a lot of my evenings and weekends talking to lay audiences, how to explain the science to them so they can understand it and they can appreciate what the science is and why it's so important. So to me, that's really been a learning experience over the past year.
So as a scientist, we have to learn to talk to the lay audience, explain our research in a simple language, and we have to do that. This is our responsibility, because the gap between where the average person understand about science and where the science is heading, the gap is so huge.
Yeah, when I take work like this and I try to talk to a general audience, I try to explain in terms of things that they experience in their everyday life. So everyone knows what a car is. You know, the car itself is really just a bunch of computers, that it's not mechanical primarily. It's a big, complicated computer that just happens to have wheels on it. And that I have ended up investigating the way that those threats could get between them and controlling the car. And that's something that everyone seems to get pretty easily. And if they don't, I point them to Fast and Furious 8, who's did a great job at selling our entire concept.
It has been a great privilege to highlight the work of all our honorees tonight. So let's recognize them once more, and I'll lead the applause. Thank you very much for what you've done and what you will continue to do. These stories highlight why it's so important to support federal investment in scientific research, even if we don't always know where it'll take us. Our awardees represent just a few of the many stories of scientists and engineers tackling the questions posed by the greatest challenges of our time. Congratulations to our awardees, and thank you to the members of Congress, our sponsors, the AAAS, and the founding organizations, and our audience, you, for being here with us today. And of course, to all the scientists, researchers, and engineers out there who continue to pursue an idea and help to vigorously advance the understanding of the world around us, especially those who continue to work hard to end the pandemic. Thank you, good luck, Godspeed, and until next time.